Sorry, I know I'm late. But today was a gorgeous day in Amsterdam, and I was out all day having fun in the sun, which brings me to pasty white boy problems, which technically, look at this. Bam! Crazy here as well. Whoo! This is gonna hurt tomorrow. Well, it hurts now already, and I have it on my legs as well, but tomorrow, oh boy. Anyways, let's get started with the video. So I've been asked if I can talk about metal renderings for industrial design, and that's what I want to do in this video. And there are several methods to do it, and also digital or traditional way, and I'm going to concentrate on the digital. Usually what I do is I have the drawing, I take a metal texture that I like, that you can Google it, but I use cgtextures.com to get the metal that I like. I put it on a separate layer on top of the drawing that I want to have the texture on, and I put that layer onto overlay. And before I do that, I usually desaturate the texture layer, because on overlay it will take all the properties of the image below. So you don't need to have the metal's color necessarily, unless you want it. You will see in a later version. So sadly I had an issue with the recording here, because it doesn't show when I switch to my web browser and I use CG textures to take all my metal textures. So just know that that's where I get my images from. One important thing is that I didn't really follow here is to don't be overzealous. Don't immediately start applying the textures if you don't have a fully and nicely rendered image. I did have the tank there, but because I had no shadows, no shading, no lighting on it, the textures in themselves don't really work. Unless you want to go for a more graphical style where it's not a problem if the drawing is a little bit more flat. Yeah, then you can do it. It's not a problem. But for me, I wanted to be semi-realistic here. Also important to mention that I'm not going for the fully rendered, shiny, realistic, totally realistic looking version. I just really wanted to give a quick impression of what's metal. I learned most of this during my internship at Guerrilla Games, and they do this much better, and they really go for a hyper-realistic feel. And I feel like for industrial design presentations, you don't need to go all the way. It's enough especially if you're in a early beginning phase of your product and you just want to give an impression. This is quite enough. So here you can see I actually left the colors of the texture there because I wanted to give a different impression for the tracks of the tank. Alright, now switching to a little bit of different approach, and this is basically rendering everything by hand for a chrome rim. And what I do here is, as I said, I basically render everything by hand. The most important thing is to use reference. So when you want to render something and you're not sure about everything, just make sure to have a reference image right next to it. And what you need to know about Chrome is that Chrome is extremely reflective. What that means is that it's going to be very contrasty. So you're going to have very sharp highlights and also quite darks. So if you keep that in mind, it's actually really not that hard to go wrong with Chrome. It is sort of an easy method to cheat. And what also is important, you're gonna see in a second, is to think about your context, what you want the Chrome to reflect. As you can see on the reference image, it reflects some of the stripes that are behind the image, so those are reflected in a thing. I don't have that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take some more of the environment, which you can also see in the reference image, which is bluish sky and brown earth. And instead of brown, I go more with orange because I felt it works better here. And you can see everything that's reflected from below is with orange, and everything that's reflected from above is the blue of the light sky. So basically just bringing a little bit of that element into it, giving it some of that color, makes it pop even that more. And the contrast between the darks and the lights is what makes Chrome. And here I feel like I could have gone darker with my darks. And I think I felt that towards the end, so I just wanted more contrast between my whites and my darks, but I still think I should have gone darker. Now for another one, this was a plier, and here I went, basically it's the same method that I used for the tank as well. So it's quite important, well, it's not important, but just make sure that you render everything. And here I kept that in mind, unlike with the tank. Just made sure to quickly render the metal. Where you can see is, basically you have a light side and a dark side, and then you have a little bit of change of the
surface there. And I also went one step further with this one and rendered the plastic handle as well. Also, don't forget, I used reference for this one as well. So don't think I did this for all of this. If the reference wasn't on the image, I had it open on a separate layer. But I also didn't go that much into detail with these. The detail is not so important. I wanted to concentrate on the metal part. So the rest I just left everything quite matte. Didn't put that much detail. And then I took this, as you can see, I took that metal. Although I did like the rust on it, I decided that's not where I would use it. So I would have much more scratches on this one and less rust. It would be used in together with maybe a screwdriver. And then the final method of rendering is just really having fun and rendering everything, all the little scratches and everything by hand. And I used a magnet for that. For this, same important advice as for all the others, keep reference at hand. I don't know if I started out with a reference, but halfway through I was like, okay, I need a reference picture for this one. And I just saw, okay, where is there more wear and tear? Where is more use? Obviously, even if it's a metal piece, if you use it more, it's gonna start wearing and tearing. And it's gonna start having small scratches. And you could also see I recognize some areas where there should be some more shading that I forgot to add. And there you can see I really add in all the little scratches by hand. And this can be really fun, but it will also take up a whole lot of time. So if you have the time, you want to do it, sure. But really, if you can't afford the time, just use the methods I used for the tank or for the pliers. But yeah, this is extremely fun. This is where the painting part comes in, and you just really can have a whole lot of fun. But yeah, this is all I wanted to talk about this week. I hope this helps. And actually, there's a lot more I could tell, but maybe another time. Anyways, if you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I will make sure to answer them. If you want more regular updates, follow my Instagram. I post quite often there, and consider subscribing. So, see everyone next week. Bye bye.